This tribunal has convened in accordance with Signarin military law to assist the ongoing inquest into the unknown whereabouts of Commander Dalen Sturgis.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome back, freelancers, to episode 137 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. I am your host, Steve, along with my co-hosts, Michael and Devin. Today is August the 27th of the year 2020. And thank you for being with us and joining us on this day that is filled with lots and lots of news. Devin, Mike, how's it going today? Mike, we'll kick it over to you while Devin does some tech support for his wife.
Going well. A few interesting developments in my personal life and professional life, and some things got to do in recreational life. So it's kind of been a busy, interesting week, and so it's been fun to figure it all out. So as part of our reopening in our state, a very small fraction of our students have been able to go back to school, and I am one of the teachers who gets to provide them services. So I was actually at work today, back inside my building, teaching PE to a couple classes of kids who are considered high risk. Not risk for contracting any illnesses, but high risk in their education. And so I was able to teach them, and it was kind of interesting. And I shouldn't say interesting. I keep saying that, but I want to stop saying that. It wasn't interesting. It was fun to be back and different after not being back for so long. So we did some yoga with the kiddos today, and they seemed to like it. I found a pretty neat kids yoga YouTube channel. And the story today was all about Sonic the Hedgehog. So we went on a trip with Sonic the Hedgehog doing yoga, and the kids seemed to enjoy it. And I actually did yoga for the first time in my life, which, now that I think about it, that's kind of a thing. It was the first time in my life that I've done yoga. So I was at school today, and then we came home.
Really?
Yeah, honest. How many times have you done yoga? That's right. And then we came home.
I do DDP yoga.
Like doing yoga. I mean, just
no.
just DDP. Keep down pulsating.
Diamond Dallas Page. Haven't you ever seen the infomercials? It's pretty big online. All right.
I don't have TV, Devin. I don't have any.
It's on the internet. It's on,
The internet is vile and vicious, except for those who we get to interact with.
The Freelancer Codex podcast on Twitch.
And then we came home, helped kids with homework, and tried keeping up on that. My sixth grader is testing those limits of, Dad, I totally got this done. All right, can you prove it to me? Well, this one glitched out, and my teacher put this one in the folder of stuff to do, but she said we didn't have to do it. And I'm going, where have I heard that before? And I'm surprised daily on how apples really don't fall very far, right?
From the tree.
They fall, and you're like, oh man, I remember saying that to my mom. And then when your kids say it to you, you realize how DUMB that sounds. You're like, the teacher assigned this, but I don't have to do it. Like why did I think that was gonna fly with
optional
my parents?
Extra credit, okay?
Right?
Because kids are not smart. That's why.
My sixth grader is testing those limits, and it's kind of frustrating because you hover over that line of, all right, I'm going to give my kiddo some autonomy to let him make his decisions and let him take ownership of his education. But at what point do you like that's not the hill I want to die on. And then my fifth grader, he's doing really well with school. He seems to stay up on it. Granted, he doesn't have the caseload that my sixth grader has. And then my kinder and pre-K students are doing Zoom meetings, have their own logins and passwords to our learning management system. And that's kind of sad because the youngest is 3 and she already has a username and password for stuff that is specific to her. But it's fun when she gets online with her teacher, because that pre-K program is a lot of songs and letter recognition and silly rhymes and things, and so we get to hear her and watch her smile and interact to that. So that's pretty fun. And then we had a couple.
Just imagine
we had a couple sports tonight. My
I-
5th grader had baseball, and then my 6th grader had some soccer. So we were able to play, and that was pretty fun. It's nice for this old man to get out and kind of run around and keep pace with a bunch of 6th graders. I feel awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
And then we
It's
had.
gonna be
So
interesting.
then
'Cause
I
you're
made.
third grade. I hate you so much. I really do. I really hate you.
Sorry, but the answer is a whopping yes.
Like, how long is Michael going to explain like what he did today? And for lunch, I had burrito supreme, and it didn't have enough. Devin, how's it going? No, it's going to be interesting that your
going
3-year-old
great.
already has an email account that'll follow her along for the rest of her life, and then she'll be able to use that. So
Now,
Yeah,
I'm not
interesting
sure.
stuff.
I'm not sure if she has an actual email account yet because she won't receive email. She has login credentials to the learning management system. So I guess it's email through there, but it's not like a Gmail like our other kiddos have. Being in kindergarten
just
and up.
set her up one.
I should, right?
Yeah.
I should. I don't want
Let's see.
to. Then I have to
Wade,
give
thanks for the raid, my brother.
then I have to give permissions and
Yay.
hey, you have this and this, and people know her. I want to be like Ron Swanson sometimes and just get off the grid and throw my computer away.
You are like Ron Swanson.
Devin, what have you been up to,
Wade.
man? Have you been busy
Oh,
with stuff?
gosh.
Yes,
hate
I
when you say
have
that.
been busy. Thank you for the hosts. Thank you for the follow. Those who are here and rating our channel, we really appreciate you guys. Stick around
Why are they blowing everything up, huh? What's
because
going on here,
we
Wade? Why are you
appreciate them.
blowing up our chat?
We appreciate them. Now I've been really busy.
Wade.
Much like you, I have several kids in school, and it's really annoying because they have to do online stuff, and there's 3 different levels of comprehension. And I'm talking about their teachers, not the kids. With when it comes to online stuff and Zoom meetings and they should take a UI design class.
Remember your audience, bro.
I
Remember
know.
your audience.
They
right?
piss me
like,
off.
come on.
No, well,
Come on.
when they, the thing that really makes me mad is some of the teachers for the special classes like PE, language arts, music.
What about the PE teachers? What
They're
about them?
doing like blanket
the sub,
across
Wade.
the board, for kindergarten all the way to 5th grade, the exact same assignment. Like my 1st grader has the exact same assignment where he has to write stuff in pages, to create a document after he watched these videos and created stuff and type up how he feels about these things. And like he's in 1st grade. He doesn't even know how to use this software, but you want him to submit a written assignment, with a paragraph per each thing.
In PE.
No, this one's for music, right? PE is just like watch movies, on YouTube, and
Okay,
then
so-
tell me how you feel about them.
My kind of class.
I have a little bit more say in pulling what goes on in the PE curriculum across the district. So
Were you the one who I have to collect these milk jugs and all this other crap for all my kids?
Collect them.
do you want your kids to share equipment with the entire school when we come back?
Just tell me what I need to buy before school starts. No, it's good. No, it's fine. I'm just, it's frustrating when they give me these assignments or, like half the time the Zoom meetings still don't work and different things. It's really frustrating. And they don't
can
put things in
understand
the
that.
same place. There's no uniformity to it. The teachers just organize it how they want, and it's really kind of frustrating. But, hopefully soon they'll be able to go back to school.
It's funny that you say that because you seem to think that when they get back in the building,
I know.
that those
But
individual
I won't
those
have to
individual
personally
organizational
deal with that
systems-
crap online.
Oh, because when they go back, you're just like, kids, you'll do it at school. Don't worry about it.
No,
I
I'll
don't
only
have
have
to
to
worry
deal
about
with
any
some
of this.
homework. All right, I won't have to deal with trying to do tech support for all 3 of my kids from my office while I'm working in the morning time.
Oh boy.
But no, I mean it's growing
So
pains, right?
welcome to-
They're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what, and I don't speak for the district because I'm not in that capacity, but it's tough for everyone, right? Like I had a rough experience this week, and we can talk about this when we get into kind of what we've been up to gaming wise, because this was kind of the catalyst that kind of started me back really
I
into
thought that's
gaming.
what we were doing now.
Well, no. So I actually got, and I'll go into this right now because it kind of flows. So I got a letter from a parent in our district telling me that my content, my course, was completely useless at this time, and the kids should be worrying about something else other than the content that I offer them. And it really affected me to the point where I had to I couldn't sleep, so I jumped back into Destiny and started playing again, and played Destiny for quite some time. One night, I did one of my till 1 o'clock in the morning sessions that I haven't done in a very, very long time. And it was super cool to jump back into it. Because Destiny hasn't changed much, right?
Like the first Destiny, are you playing old school or are you going Destiny?
No, I'm
2?
playing 2. I'm playing 2 right now. But you know what? It hasn't changed much. It's still sweet gunplay. It's still digital dolls and shoot the things, collect the things.
Mike is a big fan of digital
dolls. Get the
dolls.
progress on the things. And you know what? Speaking for Destiny 2, like they added a new, and I don't think we've ever played the aerial zones, which are kind of fun. They're neat battle arenas that have tons and tons of verticality to it. So like in order to play this arena, you have to climb and go up. And it's, clearing buildings and taking down ads and bosses at a time. So it was super fun, and I was brand new into it. Had a lot of fun playing it. And it was, and not to get all weird or in the meta or whatever, but it's nice that it was right there to go back and play, right? Pick up like an old friend and just talk to an old friend.
It's like
when
drugs,
you're going
man.
through a rough time. It is, man.
It's drugs.
Destiny's
like drugs.
Yeah. It's super fun though, right?
It is, but I just can't. I gotta walk away.
Well, but you know what? I keep thinking to myself, Devin, I want to, just for the sake of doing it, I want to get our old raid group to go through Vault of Glass and just do it, right?
We'll never be able to do it again. Come on.
Oh, come on. With
I mean, technically, they're bringing back the Vault
gear.
of Glass in the new expansion. I'm guessing, right? They already talked about that.
We gotta go back and we need to pull out our
Destiny
first
1
Xbox Ones and use our characters and run through a Vault of Glass. See if we can go flawless. We might be able to. I don't know, but at least try it, right?
We couldn't even go flawless when we played it every day. What are you talking about?
Well, maybe our raid group is leveled up now, right?
No.
So my oldest is actually playing through Destiny 2 also. So he just finished the first initial campaign. He beat Gaul. Gaul turned into a big giant guy. And he's been going through the directory, and he's like, "Dad, what are these raids?" I was like, "Son, let me tell you about the raids."
Let me tell you.
Told him about the raids. I was like, "You're gonna need 6 people to do this." He's like, "6 people, Dad?" It's like, "Yeah." He's like, how did you do it?" It's like, "Well, I did it with Uncle Mike and these people." And he's like, "Do you think they'll run me through it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know if they can even do it anymore, son, but someday maybe we'll get a raid group together for you." He's
I have
really been liking Destiny 2. So
I've got half of a raid group going because Kai has a character on Destiny 2 and Kai has a friend who would be able to lead him through it. At least give him the chance to like try it, right? Because that's how you go.
Kai
that's
has
how
a friend that can do it.
He does.
So I guess that means you would have to have multiple things running on it in your house, and I would have to buy another computer because I'm not going to play Destiny on the Xbox again because I can't do that.
Not you. I'm not saying you do it. I'm saying pass it on to the kids. Let the kids do it.
Well, I'm going to jump in and raid.
I mean, did you see that new trailer today? Right?
$2,000 computer.
It's a
Don't
good trailer.
talk to me about new shiny Destiny stuff, okay?
I was like, I had to walk away. Honestly, I was like, no, I cannot watch this. Get the hints. Go away.
Problem. Like the more you watch it, the more you're like, man.
I was like, oh, that looks really cool.
I can
Get away.
Character
So
yeah.
So I mean, I'm already at 1030 power level. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what the cap is now. But
you need some Sherpas. You got to get Lupo, Mulehorn. They'll Sherpa you through
Mulehorn already said he would. He's telling us in the chat that he'll do VOG with us.
Yeah.
I remember what the
Just
VOG
bring it to me and I'll
is.
sign it.
So See, and Devin's already
Yeah,
signing
right
off
on.
on it, so
Right.
we're good, man. We are good to
Devin,
go.
Devin just signed
Steve,
papers on a new
Steve,
computer
what you been
that
up to
his
lately,
wife just
man?
approved on. Thanks, Mike, for handing it over this way. This is what I was. This is what I've been up to. Sorry, I gotta find my spot on the document. You threw me off with your hosting skills. So I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys with my oldest son. So for about 30 minutes before he goes to bed, I'm like, all right, because he gets to stay up later than his other brothers. It's like, hey, we'll just go play Fall Guys and we'll hand it off. I die, I'll throw it to you. You die, you throw it to me. So him and I have been bonding over playing Fall Guys, and we laugh a ton at that game because that game's ridiculous. And I've been so close multiple times to getting the crown. Like 3 people away, 4 people away, making it to the final round. There's always just one little jump that you miss, or some little guy like holds you at the wrong time. You get hit by one of those wipeout poles and sends you flying. So I've been doing that and having a ton of fun with it. Like I definitely see why that game is blown up, and it's like the #1 game right now. I mean, maybe Devin, do you think there's a world where this game makes this company? I forget what the company is, but does it get bigger than Epic Games off of Fall Guys? Is
Um,
is this developer going to be the next developer to challenge Apple?
I don't know. I mean, if it's gonna get that big, I mean, it's not gonna get that big when it's only on. I mean, obviously it's huge, right, on PlayStation and PC. But as the Xbox fan and player myself, I would like to play it on Xbox, but it's not there at the moment. And with Sony
I mean, but
exclusivity,
and I'm
it probably won't
sure.
be for a full year. So
Well, I'm sure right now. I mean, this is probably they're going to try to push it as quickly as they can to other platforms because of the success. I mean, I guarantee it's going to be on Switch within a year,
yeah,
if not a year, depending on what the exclusivity deal is. I mean,
Switch
it's
and
something that could
mobile, maybe.
easily be
I don't know.
ported over to mobile. Easily go to mobile because there are 3 buttons. I mean, it's not even as. I mean, if you can put Fortnite on mobile, like easily, um, it'll be over there. So KDT is not a fan of Fall Guys. She has left the chat, unfortunately, because we started talking about Fall Guys.
I blame
But
Steven.
so I've been doing that, and I've been playing. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, Mike. I've been trying to get through that because the new Control AWE DLC dropped today, and I was trying to get through Horizon Zero Dawn before I got to that. But I'm just gonna have to pass on there. Um, a couple of things about Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm not going to spoil story things or whatever, but because it is a 3-year-old game, I think I can talk about things in a more general sense. There are some points in this game where I know they want me to be a stealth player. They want me to hide in the grass, but they set up the combat arena where that's kind of impossible to do. So it's like, all right, game. So do you want me to be stealthy, or do you want me to go bow and arrows ablazing in here? Like, what do you want? Because it's not set up in a lot of instances to where you can be that stealthy person going in, which is kind of frustrating. Um, Although I do enjoy the combat, like when it's open, there's a lot of times in there where it's just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm just gonna go in here, and now my bow and arrow is an assault rifle, and I just shoot arrows all over the place. Um, in this game, it has you craft your ammunition over and over and over again once you run out of it, which is kind of frustrating. And I think the biggest frustrating point for me is that it has you use shards, which is also used as the currency in the game. So every time you shoot an arrow, it costs money for you to shoot an arrow, which I guess in their mind it's like, hey, this is kind of a resource management game also. Like, it's on paper, it sounds really cool, but I really hate that system. Also, like, the more and more things that you are collecting in order to craft things, I'm a hoarder by nature anyway, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to need this at some point, so I'm going to leave it in my bags. And with the amount of things that you do get and the amount of things that are in there in the world to collect, my bags are always full. So I'm always at this point of like, okay, what do I get rid of to pick up this thing? Because I think I might need these things later. Um, and that's just the kind of gamer that I am. So I'm constantly full on my inventory, having to like play the whole Destiny game of what do I get rid of right now in order to pick up this thing. And that really frustrates me. So there's a lot of things like that I've got. Like, there's these systems that are causing me to not enjoy the game as much as I would, because I really do enjoy the story, but it's these things along the way to get to the story points that are really frustrating me. But maybe that's something they work out in the new game when it releases next year. But as of right now, I really like the story, but there's a lot of these systems that are kind of getting in my way to enjoying it as much as I want to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I guess.
That's just how I feel, right? So that's what I've been doing. Devin, did you want to tell us what you've been playing, what you've been up to?
What I've been playing, I think all I've been playing is
fine.
Halo,
We'll just go ahead and
right?
skip you then if you
So,
don't want to.
no, one good thing I did, we got the treadmill this week. So I've been waking up in the morning early to walk on the treadmill for at least a half hour. And
Good, man.
so then I'm also doing that, trying to do that in the afternoons. And I should note, like right now, Stephen knows it's like 90. I don't know if you can see that. 91 degrees in my garage. So, it's like a sauna when I'm in here walking for a half hour in the afternoons at like 92, 93 degrees. And it's just like when we first got it, it was like 5 o'clock and I just started walking out. And my wife's like, wow, you're really sweating a lot. I was like, it's 93 degrees in here. And yes, I am fat, but yes, it's still hot in here. Okay. So, but no, it's good.
Make sure you put a trash bag on. That way you can get rid of more.
Get rid of more.
Make your weight. Get rid of more. Yeah. Isn't that how wrestlers make weight?
I guess, but that's just like cutting water, so that's, not super healthy to do, but,
whatever. Wrestlers do it. It's got to be healthy.
Yeah, but that's only for weigh-ins. But no, I mean, it's really, really good.
What time are you walking in the morning?
I usually walk at like 6. So.
Okay.
Why? Are you walking at a different time?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Why do you care so much?
No, I don't know. It's because I was just curious what time you're walking in the morning. I think it's awesome that you're doing that. Yeah. But yeah, stick with the schedule, man. Get a schedule, stick with it. Are you watching anything while you're doing it? Do you have a TV set up?
No, I just turn on my cell phone. I'm watching NCIS on Netflix, or I just put whatever else is on, and I can get through, part of an episode.
Does it sit at a spot where you're does it sit at an angle where you're not looking down while you're walking, but you can be walking straight up?
No, I'm just looking at it because it's in my garage, just right over here. No, it's just kind of a little bit down, but not a lot. So, I mean, the weirdest thing is when I stop and then when I get off, I'm I feel like I still want to keep walking. I should still be moving because I didn't go anywhere. But it's just my brain because I have equilibrium issues, so I'm more sensitive to that kind of crap. But
to that kind of,
you're weird.
That's
true.
It's true. I am weird.
You are weird. Man. I wasn't gonna say it, but Steve,
you must keep us updated on your progress. I am confident that I can say Devin's weird.
Well, I mean, when I wake up, it's I'm tired, but it's just I hit start, and then I start walking. And I'm still just after 2 or 3 minutes, I'm awake, I'm ready to go. And honestly, it makes things better. It also makes me not want to go eat some fast food for breakfast or something like that, And it's been, for this week, instead of the guys are oh, you want to get a burrito or you want some McDonald's? I'm nah, not really, man. I woke up earlier and walked for a half hour. I don't really feel like wasting that on fast food. And so it's oh, I'll go get, a Subway sandwich or something for breakfast, which is much healthier than McDonald's or 1,000-calorie burrito. I'm doing a veggie breakfast sandwich.
Yeah,
right? That's only 400 calories. So
okay, cool.
Versus 1,000-calorie breakfast burrito or fried stuff.
Fried stuff with cheese.
Just remember, that's why I get this is Mike who doesn't want you drinking water.
I know he thinks water as a PE teacher. He thinks water is bad for you. So, whatever.
Don't talk to me, criminal.
All right, so
tell me. Ooh, Devin, I will ice breath your face off.
No, we're gonna, Mike. You be quiet. Stop talking. Okay.
Word.
A couple of things here, real quick. We move on.
You stop talking.
No, it's all right, Mike. You'll be okay. I will not. I will be okay. After I say this about our patrons, we want to thank all of our patrons for supporting us on the show. We want to thank Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Man and Steel, Scout 69, Dragonheart 76, Jeffrey H, the Gameplay Experience, and RZ. We really appreciate your support and everything that you have done for our show. So continue to support us and tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your friends' dogs, and hey, see if those friends' dogs will get to support us also. One of the things that you get if you support us on our Patreon is our pre-show content that we record before all this. So all that fun stuff Devin and I were talking about before Mike showed up. you get all that fun content. So
I miss
go over
pre-show?
there, do
That's
that, and
me.
if you yes,
When did you guys do that
you can
without
just
me?
well, you weren't here. So what are we supposed to do?
I
mean,
was
you weren't
here.
here. I
I
didn't
was.
understand.
Like
So,
2 minutes before the show
I don't
started,
think
you
you are.
got here.
I've been busy, all
Yeah,
right.
and you can write. You can write into the show at freelancercodex@gmail.com if you want to tell us like why all the bad things that we're doing, all the things that we are getting correct, all the corrections you want to send in. You can do that also. All right. So with all that done, I think it's time to get into the news because we have a crap ton of news that we want to blow through here. So we'll have Keanu lead us into the news.
All right. I gotta talk to you about something.
This just in, this week we take a look at Gotham Knights, the next Batman game from WB Montreal. This is coming in, written in by Game Informer. All right. First of all, I need to get where you guys stand on this whole Gotham Knights thing, because we got Gotham Knights from WB Montreal. We also got a trailer of the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, coming also from Rocksteady. So we've got two games kind of set in this universe. Sorry, dog. I guess I'll get out of your way. Dog's like telling me to leave. All right. So Gotham Knights is a 2-player co-op game. You can play it single player. You can play it co-op. You're going to take on the roles of either Batgirl, Red Hood, Robin, or Nightwing. Nightwing? Why did I almost call them Nighthawk for some reason? I was thinking of something else.
I'm a night elf mohawk.
And you get to yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I was watching the WoW stuff earlier today, and I thought of Mr. T and his Night Elf Mohawk. So at the DC Fandome, which is a dumb name for anything to call this thing the Fandome,
He needs
I
a
don't
picture.
get it. Montreal
will you
announced
focus?
Gotham Knights. It's a new combat-focused Batman experience that gives you the control of Robin, Batwing, Nightwing, and Red Hood. In a teaser trailer that is in the engine, we saw the heroes and vigilantes using their special skills to set up skill sets to degrees of violence, right? So we got to see this thing where Robin and Batgirl were going to go on, take on Mr. Freeze in this giant tower. Mr. Freeze had frozen the whole thing like you do when you're named Mr. Freeze. You got to freeze the stuff for whatever reason, right? So this game is going to come out in 2021. It is going to be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, so it's current gen. It's going to be a cross-gen game. So it'll be on the new stuff, it'll be on the old stuff, and this game is not connected in any way to the Arkham series. From what I saw of this game, I thought visually it looked really good. I enjoyed it more visually than something like Marvel's Avengers. I thought it looked it's really hard for me to explain like these games without just being like it's difficult to be like this game is super exciting because it's I don't know, like, if it's something that I want to play, like, after watching the trailer.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, in my mind, like, all these games that have come out recently, I'm like, I'm not excited for this. And I'm trying to figure out, like, why every single new game that gets announced, like, I am not excited to play. One of the things that really stood out for the Gotham Knights trailer is that the character voice lines were super jokey, and they were very frequent. Okay, they were like quippy. It's almost like, remember when the first Division trailer came out and they had like the people that were like live chatting or whatever, and it just seemed off. Well, it just kind of seemed off for what we got in this trailer. Like after you beat up a guy and murder someone, you're like, hey, it's really cold out here. And I don't know. It just seemed like it's not. Maybe it's just too live servicey to me because every enemy had a level next to their name. Every enemy had a health bar next to their name, and you just went up, you flipped over, you kicked them a bunch of times, you knocked them down, you kicked them again, and it just already felt to me like it was rinse and repeat. And I don't know if that gets me excited at all anymore to go through that. Devin, what were your thoughts on Gotham Knights? Because the trailer looked really cool.
Yeah, so for me, like I only know like Robin and was it Batwoman or whatever, Batgirl, whatever she is,
Batgirl?
right?
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's Batgirl.
And like the other two, I didn't really, I don't know much about them. So before, like there was leaks a couple days before the show that basically were confirmed with the trailers and what they showed off. And with those leaks, I was more excited for Arkham Knights than I was for the Suicide Squad. But afterwards, I was actually more excited for Suicide Squad than I was for Arkham Knights. Because for me, it just kind of looked a little bland for me, the Arkham Knights, and I don't really care about Robin or the other three characters. The ones that I don't know could be more interesting, but I think for me there's uh, because they're Robin and Batgirl or Batwoman, there's baggage or some kind of history with those characters, so it's like I already know about those characters. I never really cared about them in the first place, so I don't really care about them now. Whereas Suicide Squad, for me, it's like there's not really any baggage for them. Like I saw the crappy movie, and that was like, that movie was garbage. But this game actually, looks like it might be fun. But again, it's only a CG trailer, so I don't know. I
So
know.
the and Mike, I don't know if you had a chance to watch these or not yet. The trailers
Um,
for either of these.
so yeah, and Batman is one of my is a very
You were just making fun of me for stuttering and not like getting my thoughts in order. So I just wanted to point that out.
my thoughts are always in order. Batman is not one of my favorite
sure.
characters. He's not even like a least favorite character.
He's not in the game, so
but still, that I guess that
he's in
world
the
for
game.
me,
he's dead.
that world for me isn't exciting
Batman's
or
dead.
compelling. I have no interest. Like I would rather have a Scarlet Witch video game versus a Batgirl video game. Like I don't. The stories
But
like
is that just because you have more connection with the Marvel universe just because of the MCU though, right?
but
So that's why you would rather see something Scarlet Witch over because
so
I mean the Batman characters are super popular. Batman's popular, right?
No.
He's going to sell games just
No,
because
not
it's
with me.
Batman. Yes.
I'm not gonna buy
Well,
it.
not with you, but you're like one person that's not going to buy it compared to like how many people are going to buy a Batman game.
So there was this one boy on a
Millions.
beach one time, and he was throwing starfish back, and an old man came up to him and said, "You're not gonna make a difference." And the little boy said, "To that one, I did."
Man.
No, because as soon as you threw him back, he
Real
got
down.
swooped up by a seagull and got eaten. No, I don't know.
So I guess as
No,
far
like-
as it's not even and it's not even a DC Marvel thing that that wasn't random. It serves my point. It's not
No,
even
that's
a DC
random, Mike.
No, but it's not. It's not even a DC Marvel thing. It's just that Batman has never pulled me in as a character that I want to, and even that universe, like even the TV shows.
Movies? You didn't like the movies?
I did like the movies.
I mean, I was more interested in the new Batman movie than I was the games that they showed off. But-
Which new Batman movie? The one with Pattinson? Because isn't
Yeah.
he the new Batman?
Yep, he's the new Batman.
Yeah, I'm not.
I know,
Anyway, so
you're not team. You're Team Jacob. I know. All right, you like werewolves.
I
That's
don't know
fine.
I don't know what that means.
Don't lie
He
like
knows
you
what
don't
he
know
means.
that means. Like,
He
your wife
knows
would
what
not
it
make you
means.
watch those
He's a
movies.
closet
I don't know
Twilight
what that
fan.
means. I am
Don't worry.
not a fan of Batman. I think the last Batman game I played was on the GameCube, and it was an animated series Batman, so that storyline. Remember playing that, Steve? Was that on GameCube?
Oh, I remember that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the last Batman that I played.
That was a good game. I actually like that game.
And for me, that was where Batman
I
kind of
actually-
stops. Because animated Batman, he's like
With
really
the
good
animated
Batman.
series.
Yeah, animated series Batman. He's like up there top 3.
Did you
If
watch
they
the
made a Lego
Samurai
Batman
Batman?
movie- no.
No, I don't know how many
I
people
watched-
watched that movie.
I watched
That
Samurai
was good.
Jack. I would take a Samurai Jack game.
So-
that would be cool.
They do
That
have
Samurai
one.
Jack game just came out like last week.
Where you been, Mike?
Why don't you tell me these?
We talked about it
things?
on the show last week. Didn't you pay attention?
That was Ghost of Tsushima.
Like we assume that we assume that you just know. But Devin, I actually
Yeah,
agree with you.
that's what
like
you
of all
should
the
assume.
Batman stuff. Like all the Batman stuff that was announced, like the Batman movie with Pattinson actually is more interesting than anything else that we saw.
Yeah.
So, and it is very possible that I just need to see more for Gotham Knights. But I think my issue is now that we're thinking about it, we're talking about it, it feels like because Gotham Knights, there's a sordid history with how long these games have been in development.
Mhm.
It's been over 7 years that this game has been worked on. And it feels like something happened in the middle. And I'm
Well,
going
I
to
don't
blame
think
it
this
on
one's 7
Destiny.
years.
That
I think the
No, because
Suicide
there
Squad
was
one was, and then Rocksteady took it over from WB Montreal, which is now making the Arkham Knights game.
I think there's going to be something that comes out. It'll probably be Jason Schreier, Devin's favorite journalist, that breaks the story of like
The
what
best.
actually happened with these studios
this.
and who was working on what. Because I think for some reason there was a swap in there. And I think because it has been worked on for so long or whatever, that people saw the success of Destiny, that these live service games are becoming very successful, and people were encouraged to pivot in order to make something like Destiny in their IPs.
Pivot.
And that's why it feels like, okay, now this is co-op. Now you can bring people in. Everyone has a level. I imagine there's going to be loot that you pick up. That's going to be a thing. I think that's something that they even talked about. They talked about equipping different gear things in order to vary up your playstyle. So they're going to RPG this thing a lot. And I think it was just around that time where it's like, all right, guys, we have to do this. And I think that's my major hang up with all these games. It's like, instead of making a Gotham Knights game very much like in the vein of the Arkham series, because the Arkham series is single player, story-driven game. Batman go around, beat the crap out of people, and they're very successful games.
He likes doing that.
But this is like, what? Like, why are you not still doing that? And of course, it's always like, hey, we always want people to try new things. We don't want you to, like, just because you did this means that you have to do this. But it's also like, well, but why are you going this route instead of like continue with the single player narrative that you were successful for? And granted, like, I need to see more, but it's coming out in 2021. And then on top, and maybe it is just too close to Marvel Avengers, where you're like, well, they're doing that, and now you're doing something similar, but it's different. So maybe
Which I
that's,
think
like,
that
part
could
of the
also
hang-up
be
that I have.
affecting both you and I, because we're not interested in the Avengers game at all. And so it's like, oh, this is kind of like
Right.
in the same vein. So do we really want to do that? So I don't know.
Do you? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, and so Rue in the chat says, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That would be like Madden going, maybe we should just change it to rugby. Yeah, so and of course Madden has all this other stuff that like they should probably do to fix their stuff, but you're right. Like you stick with the football, you don't change it to rugby, or you don't change it to soccer. But I think that's maybe like the hang up that I have. But then moving on to like the Suicide Squad thing, like this is coming out in sometime in 2022. I'm guessing it'll probably be delayed till like 2023. I think it's interesting that they showed off anything anyway because it's so far out.
Well, it's
But
next gen
Suicide
only,
Squad
which
killed
I
the
like.
Justice League. It's true. So it is part of the same universe as the Arkham games. So some of the stories that started in the Arkham games will continue in this upcoming release. So what we had a very Sunset Overdrive-like trailer with Harley Quinn, Boomerang Jackson, King Shark, and Deadshot. It's not Boomerang Jackson, but it might as well be, because that's one of the most boring characters ever created in the history
I like
of
that
comic
shark
books.
character though.
Is so they, and I don't know if it's like following the first movie, or if it's going to be following the movie that's coming out that they also talked about, the one that's being directed by James Gunn. But I will tell you my major problem with comic book games like this, right? They're supposed to kill the Justice League. Brainiac has landed, whatever. Brainiac's taking control of people like Wonder Woman, Superman, The Flash, Cyborg, and someone else. They didn't mention Batman because I don't think they're allowed to like kill Batman as part of like some licensing thing. Like, you can't show Batman getting captured because Batman never gets captured, right? He has a plan for everything, so he would never get captured. So you can't.
I mean, I could tell you about the League, right? They put in Red Robin in that game, supposedly because they don't want Batman to be captured or killed. And like Superman, Wonder Woman, and there was another one that can only be
Green
captured and
Lantern,
can't be
maybe?
killed. And the rest of them you can kill
Right.
them, so.
So here's my thing with these games. The Suicide Squad is like this bunch of like B tier, because let's face it, all right, they're B
Oh yeah,
tier
100%. When you got a guy named Polka Dot guy,
right.
Polka Dot Man, I mean, come on.
I mean, they're scraping the barrel of the DC lore here, like with Boomerang Jackson up in here. So it's like, okay, go kill Superman. automatically I'm like, okay, that's dumb because you can't kill Superman because he's like way too overpowered. But then I'll be like, oh, but Lex Luthor gave you these kryptonite rings and now you're able to battle him. And I'm like, whatever, this is stupid already. And I think it's just the premise that makes no sense. Like, to kill the Flash, to kill Wonder Woman, to kill Superman, like, you can't do that as Harley Quinn because you have a baseball bat. That makes no freaking sense.
Oh, she's
I
got
don't
special
understand
powers
why
of
anyone would be like,
doing flips and hitting people. I don't
of
know.
what?
I don't know.
Of,
So,
anyway,
but I was thinking about this, right?
so already I'm like, this is so dumb.
You watched. I mean, we watched last week that that game about the shoot. I just forget his name. Monkey King, right? The Monkey King in the Chinese lore, right? Didn't you watch that footage,
We
like the
did not
13
talk
minutes?
about that game.
I mean, I know we didn't talk about it, but they showed it off, right? It was like kind of news last week. And I was thinking about it, and I started researching like the Monkey King and all of the supposed abilities that the Monkey King had. And I was wondering, like,
Yeah.
did Marvel and all these people just like rip off all these abilities from the Monkey King? Because like when you listen or when you read about like all the abilities that the Monkey King has had, things they can do, like, oh, it can fly on a cloud that looks like the Silver Surfer. It can grow large or grow small, like Ant-Man. It can be invincible, or it can do all these different things that so many of the Marvel superheroes can do, and everything else. I'm like, did they just like steal all this from Monkey King? It was like the weirdest thing to me because I'm like reading about it, like, okay, that's this superhero, that's this superhero. Did they just steal it and like pretend like they came up with this crap?
I mean,
Maybe.
but honestly, if you look at like superheroes and their power, I mean, I guarantee like most of this stuff is all stolen from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure Stan Lee was like, hey, let's have a superhero that shoots webs out of his hands. Like, I mean, superheroes are dumb just by design because they're like, what? You can stretch, or you're a rock
How
now?
dare you?
Like, a
How
lot of
dare
that
you?
stuff is dumb. However,
How dare you?
However, if you put them up against the Justice League, because Justice League, they take on like these cosmic threats, right? They
Yeah.
take down like, I've seen, now I'm like spacing on the name. I'm like mixing up with my Marvel stuff. They take down, what's the dude that broke his back? Nope, that's Bane. He broke Batman's back. Mike, what's his name? Superman.
Obviously,
Which
we're
guy?
not
From
big
outer
into
space.
DC.
Doomsday.
Doomsday. Thank you.
Wasn't
Gosh.
it Doomsday?
But then you put him up against a guy that can throw a boomerang, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go kill the Flash. It's like, I really hate everything that's happening right now.
Well, and
with
it's
Suicide
funny
Squad.
because, but more so than that, it's tough to keep, because like really, how can you? It's the whole who can beat who paradox, right? So who really can beat who? Like there's no way. I mean,
who can beat? Yeah, let's find out who can beat Boomerang Man. Let's
yeah, I mean,
stick straightener guy
a
can
stick.
beat Boomerang.
Yeah, right. So I mean, it's just tough.
A strong gust of wind can beat Boomerang Man.
Exactly, and even the MCU even has its problems, right? Because Thanos was invincible except when he wasn't, and the Hulk was super strong except when he wasn't, right? So it's just tough, and it would be really interesting if you could find a way to put all of those abilities into some type of what's the word? Not a randomizer, but what's the word I'm looking for? A thing that does it to where you could actually like
lab.
no a
The old
simulator.
MacGuffin.
Man, I couldn't come
Rock,
up with
paper,
that
scissors,
word.
lizard, Spock.
Exactly, like an actual simulator where if you could these are the Hulk's powers, these are Thanos's powers, who really would win, right? It'd be interesting to see that outcome, Infinity Gauntlet versus no Infinity Gauntlet, and so it would be interesting, I think,
Infinity Gauntlet wins.
right? Because then really, what can the Flash do except run fast? Like, and
Well, he
how
can go so fast that he
practical-
goes
he
from
can-
dimension to dimension. All right.
but how?
Yeah, he
Okay,
can
so
phase
stopping
through objects.
a bank robbery.
He's
like,
fast enough to talk to himself.
I mean, I could talk to
I-
myself right now. I don't have to be that fast.
He really, I mean,
you're proving my point.
I mean, but
what's
No,
the
I'm just
what's
saying,
the
it's just
Wonder
weird that
Twins?
when you
How
have,
come
like,
I always
superpowered
turn
people
into
that-
something like a bucket of water? Like I could get beaten by a
Janice and
sponge.
Jane?
It
Yeah.
wouldn't even have to be an evil sponge.
All right, I think
And
we've been
so-
on this
okay,
subject
so
for
I-
quite a
Anyway,
while.
we
right?
have. I
Yeah,
apologize.
and I really don't want to like crap on all the news that we have coming up here, right? So I think we should just skip all this other news that we have because I'm probably gonna. PlayStation 5 got a commercial. They were showing off. They were mainly talking about the controllers they're coming out with their haptic feedback. And at first, I wasn't very interested in their controller because we've had haptic feedback in the Xbox controller for some time now. I don't think any of the games have ever really utilized it to the full potential. One of the things that the Ratchet and Clank developer was talking about though today, which sounded really cool to me, is that Ratchet has a double barrel shotgun, and that if you pull that trigger, you will actually feel where that first shot will go off, and then if you continue to pull it, you'll feel the second one go off. And there were some resistances also. Shoot, Devin, you're gonna have to help me remember what game it was, but they were talking about their gun jamming, and then instead of you just pulling the trigger and nothing happening, the trigger would actually stop because they'd be able to make it not pull back because of that jam until you cleared it. And I forget
Oh, that's cool.
I forget what article I was reading, what I was talking about, but those are actually some pretty cool features that I'm excited to at least try.
That would
and
last
figure out and,
one
see how it
gameplay.
works.
That would last one gameplay and one kid dropping it, and then that function gone.
But I mean, it depends on how it's like how it actually, what the function is, like stopping the trigger from being
Right.
pulled, right?
That would be interesting.
I mean, it's something that's at least interesting and different to be like,
Yeah.
okay, this might have, some merits as like, to hype it up. But yeah, they released a trailer. With that trailer, we did not get a price. We did not get a release date, but we got some more talking about that. Michael, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I know you were a Lord of the Rings fan, right? I know you were
Yes, I
into
am.
it. You love them. If you were going to make a Lord of the Rings game, like what character would be your main character to make a game about in that universe?
Aelmir.
All right, you'd make it about Aelmir. Devin, who would you make it about?
I have no idea.
So I have another answer too. Not
Okay.
Gollum.
Yeah, I mean, Golem is
Right,
not like my
so-
first choice. I would.
I don't think
like.
he's
What choice
anybody's
is he, Devin?
choice.
No, I mean, it's. I think they want to make like a stealth game type thing. Like that's what they want to do. So he's like, sneaks around, does all these things. So maybe it fit their narrative for that type of character. But I would prefer more of, like a ranger type or something along those lines. I enjoy like that setting. I don't know a ton about the characters. I've watched the movies a couple times. I have them all on like DVD, Blu-ray, which I was really mad when I bought them on Blu-ray. Because so I
VHS.
got like the really extended versions, like with everything, and
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
they have them on Blu-ray. But instead of like putting the one whole movie on a disc, they split it between two discs, and so you have to swap discs in the middle of the movie. And I'm like, what the crap is this?
You're like, this is not okay.
It's like put all
They
the
just
extra
want that
features on one
nostalgia,
disc.
Devin. They want the nostalgia of you
It's
getting up.
yeah, I
So
just want
the
to punch him in
problem-
the pants.
One of the problems, and I think one of the main problems with picking a character, and this isn't just Golem, but this would be like other movies that are adapted into games. I think I'm saying that right. When you pick a character whose outcome is already determined, I think it takes away from some of the ability to play them, right? So we know what happens to Golem ultimately. We know his story pretty much from beginning to end, right? So and this is one of the problems that I have with thinking about playing like a Harry Potter game as one of the trio. Like we know their story, we know their arcs. Let me play a character like an Aelmir who we know a little bit of, right? Let me be one of the rangers or one of the soldiers from Gondor. Let me be one of those, B line characters that I can help progress a story through. I have no desire to play as Gollum. Number one, that character freaks me out, right? I don't find it fun. I don't like where do you I don't know. He's a dude.
You get
He's
to
a
stare
dude.
at the back of his loincloth the entire
I was gonna
time.
say he carries a loincloth. So where's he gonna put all these items that I'm sure, or is he just gonna bite through fish and chase rabbits and it's just
Well, I can
like,
tell
what
you a
can you
little
do
bit.
with that character?
So just real quick for the people that do not know, so there's a Lord of the Rings game, and it is starring Gollum in a very Prince of Persia-like stealth game with branching narrative. And I think that might be one of the things that, like Mike was alluding to, like it's a branching narrative, but we know eventually where that ends up. So it's kind of interesting to be like, hey, these decisions will make a difference. It's like, well, we all know where Frodo and Smeagol end up at the end of book 3, right? So
Right.
Golem will make Prince of Persia like stealth action featuring a branch of narrative and expand on the hints given by J.R.R. Tolkien about the Stour family, known as Smeagol, to create a brand new Lord of the Rings story that aims to fit alongside the books. One of the things that they talk about is what persona you'll play as. Are you going to be Smeagol or are you going to be Golem based on the choices that you make? There are friendships that you can make along the way with certain creatures that will help you get past a lot of the encounters. So it's going to be like, hey, if you befriend this person, it might be easier for you to sneak past over here. So there's going to be a lot of that stuff. There's going to be between the stealth sections, Golem will be forced to make decisions and dialogue choices, choosing from responses proposed by both his gentler Smeagol personality and the Golem psyche that emerged after he was corrupted by the one ring. Do those decisions mean there's a branching narrative to play through? So I don't know if there. So the game developer says that there will be some replayability based on what you decide. So you might be able to see a couple different things, but I just thought it was interesting that it's been a long time. How many years has it been since the last Shadows of Mordor game? This must be
Just a
like
couple years ago, came out on the
4 or
Xbox
5
One.
years, right, Devin? It's been
Yeah.
a couple of years. Yeah, it's been a couple of years, but also the Xbox One came out in 2013, so that's been a long time. So it's been interesting that we haven't seen anything from that IP in a really long time, but it's more interesting that this is what they showed
2014.
with Golem Prince of Persia. 2014, yeah. So it's
6
been
years.
6 years since we've had a Lord of the Rings game. So pretty interesting. I mean, it'll be something to watch if people are into those games like Thief. Then they might actually really like this and they'll enjoy it. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that really enjoy the Lord of the Rings universe. So this will be a game that they'll probably enjoy. So, all right, Katie, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for hanging out in chat. All right, so we do have some news on the Apple Epic battle, but I think we can probably skip that. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it unless you guys really want to cover this thing. Otherwise, we talked a lot about it in our Discord. There's a lot of opinions on it. I think most of those opinions are wrong personally, but
No, I think it's
going
going to be around for a long time, right? So it's no point in going over right now. So
Cool. So let's skip all that stuff and let's talk about Devin. If there was a new Nintendo Switch with a 4K screen, well, I guess I should
I wouldn't buy
restate
it.
that. I don't know if it has a 4K screen, but there are rumors of a new Switch model with better graphics coming in 2021. And from everything that I read, the rumor is new 4K resolution, but I don't know if that is the screen itself or if that is being pumped out to your TV through the dock.
Yeah, because
I
the
wasn't
current
able
one
to
you
see
can't
anything or read
watch
anything
anything
on
in
what that
4K.
said.
Yeah, so I mean, I could see where that's they have it where you can watch YouTube and other things in 4K because you can't do that now. But I have no interest in another Switch. Like there's no I don't care about a mobile, you know, Nintendo system. I just want something that sits, on my TV stand. Like I mean that's all my Switch does. It sits in its dock and it plays games underpowered at 1080p. And I just want a better Nintendo. That's not a handheld.
Wow.
But yeah, that's my opinion on that.
How do you really feel?
So I think one of the interesting things is because like the Switch, I mean it's not the most powerful console on the market by any means, but if you were to take a game like Breath of the Wild and put it up to 4K, like does that improve the experience at all compared to what you had before? I mean, I guess
I
potentially
don't know if
it
it's just
would.
4K,
I
like
mean,
because you can do an emulator. They have emulators that you can run it at 4K at 60 frames per second, and it's a much better experience if you're running that through the emulator. And so I think more than anything, a higher
but you're
frame
also
rate.
running that on a PC though.
Yeah, but I mean you can still connect
Yeah,
it to your controller and still use a controller to play it.
that's true.
So there's a lot of things that I would love Nintendo to do with more powerful hardware. I mean, they can still keep the same kind of graphic fidelity they want, just up the resolution and up the frame rate, and it'll perform so much better. But people are gonna buy it irregardless because it's Nintendo. It's like all these years, I say, oh, I'm not gonna buy it, but I'd probably still be tempted to buy it, just like I have been with the 3DS, the 2DS, the Nintendo Switch, and every other Nintendo system that they've ever sold, right? So.
But I do wonder
would
like
buy
what their
it
price point
all.
would be if this is going to be because it's not going to be a replacement for the light. They should call it the Power Switch though. That
The
would be a
Switch
good name
Pro?
for it. They should call it the Power Switch. Switch Pro. Switch Pro would be an okay name also.
Switch Pro.
But I wonder if this is just going to replace the base unit at $300, or if this is going to be like, hey, this is upgraded, so now
I
it's
mean,
going to be $350.
they're
Or
gonna,
if it's
they're
going
gonna
to
have
be
to do something, right?
$400.
Because next year when they're gonna have, once games start being made not for cross-gen, like they're barely, I mean, doing games now for current gen that are dropping to the Switch have to make so many compromises
Right.
to run on it that there's no way they'll get any. I mean, the compromises they would have to make, there's no point in making it. So they have to have a more powerful system. Yes, it sells a lot, but eventually, when those third-party games can't be ported over to it anymore because it doesn't have the juice to do it, then they need a new system, and it's that simple. I much preferred when they had a home console and the handheld be separate. So
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
It'll be interesting. And maybe I'll just pick up like if they discount the original, maybe then I'll just pick up original finally and play it.
They don't ever
That one.
discount anything.
'Cause
It's
I'm not
Nintendo.
interested in playing all the new stuff. No, yeah, but I mean, if you're gonna come out with the 4K, it can't be $300, and I don't think that they're gonna put a handheld out for $400.
That's
That would be
Nintendo.
insane.
They'll sell it for 300. They'll sell it for the exact same price.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So.
All right, the next thing we kind of talked about Fall Guys already, but Fall Guys is the most downloaded PS Plus game. Sorry, let me start that over.
Try again.
Fall Guys is the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time on a global basis, and that's the studio Mediatonic. So that's pretty insane. Like, good for them. Like, I know that PS Plus worked out for Rocket League in a very similar way, but Fall Guys is just taken the world by storm, and it just kind of destroyed expectations. So congratulations to that team over there, and to their community manager, who's like dominating the Twitterverse right now with all of their tweets. And just like, I think they went from like, they gained like 1.3 million followers over a week.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's an insane amount of growth that fast. So
That's
to
a
be
lot.
put on the map like that.
So what happens when your game has like
That is a
15
lot.
million downloads? I'm surprised it's not more, but
Yeah, but people are smart, unlike us, and they stay off of Twitter. So
yeah,
and
we
do not, unfortunately. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but CD Projekt Red, the developer is a developer called Spokoko, I think. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they are part of the CD Projekt Red family. They announced a Witcher mobile game titled The Witcher Monster Slayer. It's a free-to-play augmented reality location-based RPG for iOS, Android, and Android devices set in the Witcher universe. So now I don't know what is happening like in a lot of parts of the world, but with the pandemic happening now, is like this something that like you want to announce now? I know the reveal is going to be later this year, but I mean, in the middle of a pandemic when people aren't going outside, is this like the game that you're like?
I
Hey,
still see a lot of people that go outside.
Something like, hey, we should delay this.
I mean, I see a lot of
it's
people that
true,
still go
but
outside.
Still, considering that number is a lot more down, I
Yeah.
understand.
I don't
But
know.
it just seems like an interesting time to announce because even like Pokemon Go, they're making it to where you play that game inside and you can still catch all the Pokemons that you need because they realize like, there's a pandemic happening, so no one's going outside.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that they're like, all right, I don't know if it's to like catching on the coattails of the Pokemon Go craze, of the augmented reality craze, but it just seemed like kind of out of nowhere that it's like, all right, go outside and go kill some creepy looking monsters.
I mean, maybe it's not coming out till next year. I mean, they can just start to slowly, hey, we're doing these things and let people check it out and then slowly build it, into next year. And I don't know. I don't really do
Yeah, I wonder how many
very much
people.
augmented reality stuff. So I don't-
Yeah, I wonder how many people will, because your market is the Pokemon Go market, right?
Hmm.
I don't think you get anyone to be like, "Oh, I really like The Witcher. Now I'm going to go outside and join this crowd."
I mean, you might
Because I
get
don't know if it's
some,
gonna like
right? So
maybe, but I mean that the crowd that you're trying to tap into is that Pokemon Go crowd that's already used to going outside and doing all these things. But I guess you could probably do both in tandem. It's not like you can only do one, you can't do the other, right? It's like, all right, let me catch my Pikachu, and now let me go over here and kill my Griffin. So, I mean, both of those things can happen at the same time, I guess.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
interesting stuff over on from CD Projekt Red on top of Cyberpunk. Now they're going to want you to go outside and slay some monsters. Devin, will you give us the breakdown on all this Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War stuff and why that title is way too long?
yeah, I mean it's a long title. It's definitely a change. They got away from the numbering, right? So because it used to be Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
and now it's Black Ops Cold War. But no, it's really cool. It's a direct sequel to the very first Black Ops. So you have familiar characters from the first Black Ops going over to it. I really enjoyed the trailers. I've enjoyed the stuff that they've shown for the campaign. So I'm definitely interested in that and seeing what they're going to do. Um, it's set like in the 1981, which side note, I don't know if you saw like yesterday, it was kind of big on the news. Russia declassified their the largest nuclear explosion test that was ever done. Did you guys see that?
Wow. I
It's
didn't
like
see
a it's
No, I
like
that.
did
a
not see
40
that.
minute
No.
video. It's in Russian, but they have captions. But it was like a 50 megaton nuclear explosion that they blew up in the northern
Wow.
regions of Russia. It was huge. Like people could feel the heat from I think it was like 170 miles away, and they saw the
Wow.
flash from over 600 miles away from it. So it's really cool, and it's like all from like that same time period. So it's all just older time,
Old
older
footage.
footage, and so it's really cool to watch. And I mean, it's 30, 40 minutes, and it was fun. Just I mean,
When
it's
was
crazy, but
Chernobyl? What
um,
year?
I
That
don't
was
know.
right around that time, wasn't it?
58.
So it was after
Chernobyl
that.
wasn't 58.
No, I don't
I have
think
no
it was.
idea,
Chernobyl
but
was like 85.
I mean, it was during the Cold War, right? So that's what kind of made
You're
me
right.
think
It
about
was
that.
86
But
because it was that. Yeah.
um,
Chernobyl was 86.
but I mean, they did that to show basically like that was part of the arms race. Like, hey, we're showing off to the world. Like, this is what we're gonna do. That bomb that they made, it was a huge bomb. They put it in a rail car. But anyways, that's it's a cool thing. You guys should check it out if you have time to check it out online. It's crazy. But so yeah, this is set during the Cold War and going over different things. There's a lot of stuff going on. From they're saying 4K, 120 frames per second ray tracing, but I don't think that they're going to be able to do all that at the same time without a lot of sacrifices. Like there were some articles that are just saying, yeah, it's going to be 4K 120 frames per second. But I think the stuff that they're referencing, it was like it's like in the Digital Foundry video, they're like, oh, it's 4K, comma 120 frames per second, comma ray tracing. So like there's going to be options is what they're guessing, and I would say the same thing because you can't even do without putting a bunch of stuff like really low, you can't do 4K 120 frames per second with ray tracing right now on PC with maxed out $3,000 to $4,000 system. So you're definitely not going to be able to do that on next
Right.
gen. And so I see that as you know options. Like if you want to do 120 hertz, you can do 1080p, right? Or like 1440, and then checkerboarded or something like that. But it'll be interesting to see. They're going to show off multiplayer on the 9th of September. So we'll see how that does and if it coincides with Warzone that's going on right now because that's huge for Call of Duty and for Activision. They made billions of dollars in a couple months, during this pandemic because people are playing it and buying stuff. And I pre-ordered the game because the story looks really interesting, and because I'm probably gonna get it anyways. The story looks interesting, so I just used my Microsoft money. So I don't buy games anymore with my own money. I buy them with points that I earn just from doing stuff.
I buy
So.
them with other people's money.
No, it's like you can convert points into money. That's a long story, but anyways, once you learn how to do that, it's really
Yeah,
easy to
I
buy
know.
stuff on Xbox. But no, I mean it looks interesting. The story
Sort of like
has
Bitcoin.
yeah, I mean,
Bitcoin.
we'll see how good it turns out.
I do think, yeah, I do think it's interesting because with Warzone, like, what are they going to do with that? Is that just going to become its own standalone thing, or is this going to come with their own like updated version of Warzone,
Yeah.
or what's going to happen there? Plus, it's
So
like,
they did
holy
find a
crap,
missile
we've had
silo.
a Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So in the Warzone map, they found a missile silo, and there's rumors online that when the game comes out, there's going to be a nuclear launch within Warzone, and the missile's going to launch out of there and destroy the map and change it all, right? And so it'll be able to play it just in Warzone, or you can also play it directly from Black Ops, right? So that's the rumor. They're going to keep it going. I think a standalone thing is perfectly fine, but they need to keep it going within the same thing, and that's kind of the rumor of how they're going to change it. And so, like when the new Call of Duty's launch, they're going to change the Warzone map to kind of fit whatever the narrative is or the style of the new game. So
It kind of blows my mind how many Call of Duties we have had so far, and how many we're probably going to continue to get. And like the big question is like,
yeah.
okay, so now what? Like no one liked it when they went to the future. Everyone hated that.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, yeah, they're trying to find the balance, but I mean, they make billions of dollars, and they announced today like their Call of Duty League, their World Championships, like the winning team gets $1.5 million.
Wow.
They get these nice big rings, kind of like the Super Bowl type style rings, trophies, and they got shoes and all this cool stuff. But it's like, oh dang, that's a lot of money. So just for the winning team.
yeah, yeah, and it's next year we'll have a new Call of Duty. And
Yeah,
we'll
well, I
be talking
mean,
about that
when
one
they
this
make
time next year.
almost $2 billion in 3 months off of microtransactions alone, then yeah, they're gonna keep making Call of Duties and keep pumping that stuff out because people don't have a problem with dropping $20, or $10 and this and that, because it's a smaller amount of money that's easier to be like, oh yeah, I can spend $20. It's not a big deal. But when you
And I do think it's
times that by
interesting that
millions,
games like, yeah, but it's interesting because you have games like Fortnite, games like Apex. Sorry, can't talk right now.
Apex.
That are free to play, but like Call of Duty is not going to be free to play. People are going to be
well,
spending.
Warzone's
Well,
free to play.
this is like one of those Anthem things. Like Warzone's free to play, but when you're talking about buying Call of Duty, you can buy it for $60 on old gen. Then you can take those discs and put them on the next gen discs, but it's not going to automatically upgrade you to the new visuals. It'll just be backwards compatible. Or you can pay $70 and then you can get current gen, and that $70 grants you an upgrade if it's digital. And there's like a bunch of weird stuff around that.
Yeah,
And it's
well,
like,
and they're doing the thing
it's going to get really confusing.
because they'll offer if you want to pay $10, if once you upgrade to the next gen systems, you can pay $10 and get the upgrade. And I don't mind that because it's like, okay, they put the extra work and effort into the time to take advantage of the next gen systems, right? To make better assets, to do everything they need to do. If it's not worth it to you, then stick with what you have there. You can still, like you said, play backwards compatible. But I don't have a problem with it. I mean, $70. Game should have increased a long time ago because of the amount of work and money that it costs to make one of these games. I mean, the bigger games, yes, they make that back tenfold, but there's a lot of other games that don't really make that much back because they can't sell it for enough. So
Yeah.
versus the amount of time you put into it,
Yeah. Rue in the chat says Fortnite tried though with the original game and its original campaign. I think there's money in having a story for people that love lore that is already in BRs. Apex and Titanfall 1 and 2 before Apex. No, I agree. I just think it's like this weird, like especially with Call of Duty, because I don't think it's so much like, I think they just have to keep making them because it's a money making machine. Like they just can't stop making them. It would make no sense for them to stop. But also like for Call of Duty, it's like, okay, are you just going to run out of how many wars have we fought? I mean, I'm sure there'll be another war that they could go to, even if it's a war that's like hasn't been fought by America.
Yeah, I mean they haven't done anything with like Desert Storm or any of that kind of stuff yet. So
That's true. So, but yeah, eventually they'll run out. But then, well, I mean, war's war. Um, but yeah, I just think it's interesting that those games are the juggernaut that they are. That just it's the gift that keeps on giving for Activision. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah. A couple other things. Speaking of PlayStation 5, so PlayStation 5 pre-orders aren't available yet, but Sony is offering fans a chance to be the first to buy. So you can go onto their website now, sign up to get a chance to buy a PlayStation 5, depending on your current.
Well, it's just
It
a
was
chance
very
to
unclear,
pre-order
what
it,
metrics
right?
that they're
A
going to
chance
use.
to pre-order.
It's a chance to pre-order based on how many PlayStation games you've played, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The wording in the email is super weird. It says like, they'll look into your account and see like what you've done. So probably if you create an account today like I did to log in to try to get this, you're probably not going to get a chance to do that. I think this is a really weird tactic by Sony to drum up like fake scarcity.
Well,
We
I
already
mean,
know that consoles
yeah.
are going to be pretty scarce at the end of the year. We know that's going to happen. However, there's also like no launch titles coming out for any of these consoles that should make them like worthy to go out and like have this huge run on them like we did with the Switch, right? Um, but again, like there's fans and people like us who are day one adopters that are going to go out and try to get this. But it's just weird that they're like, all right, you guys sign up to get a chance, because it's making you feel like this is your only chance to get this is by signing up and getting the golden ticket in your chocolate bar, right?
Yeah, but it's still like you're still going to be able to order from Walmart, Target, GameSpot, or GameStop,
Yeah.
Amazon. So I'm like, I don't understand why they're doing this. Like, I didn't buy, I didn't buy my Xbox through Microsoft Store. I bought it through Amazon. It's like, why do I need to sign up for
Right.
this? You're just making it seem like you had poor planning because you're saying there's not going to be enough. So did you not plan properly to have enough for launch? And so now it's like, okay, if it's this bad, then why would anybody do exclusive games for the PlayStation 5 when it's going to be a horrible launch if you don't have enough systems? It just seems like a negative,
Right.
direction. I don't know why they're doing it.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's just to drum up this weird sense of, oh man, we've got to go here and we've got to get it now, or else we're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I mean, this is the one generation that it's like, hey, if you don't get one, like wait a couple months. There's nothing coming out anyway,
Exactly.
so it's not like you're going to be suffering.
Yeah,
Like,
even,
just wait, and when they're on the shelves, go pick one up.
even for me, like online people are just like, oh, there's no reason to buy, a next gen console or whatever. It's like the whole reason I'm buying the next gen console is because it's gonna play the games I want to play better than what my current Xbox will do, right? So it's like I don't care. It doesn't have like this killer, whatever first party title. I'm buying it so I can play the games that I want to play in better graphic fidelity and better frame rates. It's like, to me, it's the same as upgrading my cell phone after 2 or 3 years because I want a faster cell phone that can run the stuff better. And it makes things easier and faster. And I think I've kind of gotten to that point where it's like it doesn't matter to me. And I think that's also why it wasn't a big deal to me when Halo got delayed for the Xbox, because I wasn't planning on getting the Xbox just for Halo. I was like, I'm getting the Xbox because it's going to play everything I want better. And so I'm kind of in that mentality of with upgrading cell phones for so long, every couple of years, that it's just like, yeah, I'm just getting the new console. I'm getting the PlayStation 4 Pro, or I'm getting the Xbox One X, whatever. It's like just getting the next system that's going to play your games better, and the games will come out for it. I don't know.
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting promo that they're doing. It just sounded really weird. Like
Yeah.
So I'm gonna I'll probably pre-order my PlayStation 5 from Best Buy just so I can swing by here and pick
Oh
it
yeah, I
up.
forgot about Best Buy.
But yeah, and I'll just
I hate
Best
them
Buy
too.
go in and say, hey, can I have one? And they'll be like, because Best Buy takes cold hard cash, and
Do they?
Amazon does not take cold hard cash.
Well,
You can
convert
convert that
that
cash into Amazon
yeah,
credit,
right?
into gift cards. You
Yeah,
can
but
just
how would I
convert
do
it.
that? I would still have to go to a store, buy a gift card that I would probably do at Best Buy anyway, and be like,
Yeah.
thanks for the cards, or I could just give that money to Best Buy. And chances are, like Best Buy probably scored some sweet exclusivity deal with Sony, and Sony has like
They
their
might have.
Best Buy branded PlayStation 5 with the big old blue and yellow logo slapped on their PlayStation. So that's the PlayStation I'm going to go with. The
Be
big
like
old
Best
blue
Buy.
box PlayStation 5. Best Buy, I got all this. I get a free skin in Marvel's Avengers because I bought this at Best
Woohoo!
Buy. So, all right. Couple of things. There was a Nintendo Direct yesterday. It was a Nintendo Direct
there?
Mini with all their partners. They showed off a lot of stuff there. There was a lot of Final Fantasy stuff. World of Tanks they showed off. So a lot of cool things over there. If you're into that, I don't think we'll cover it all here. We might talk about some of the more interesting things later, but yeah, I guess there wasn't anything that was like super interesting to me that I wanted to put on our show notes, but they did have one. Everyone has been freaking out for the longest time, wondering when Nintendo is going to do their thing. So Nintendo dropped this mini, and it didn't talk about Mario, it didn't talk about Zelda, it didn't talk about that Metroid game that's never going to come out. So hopefully it satiated some of their fans, but knowing Nintendo fans, it probably did not. Devin, Halo news. We got some news about someone joining the team again? Question mark?
So I mean, they talked about they had 2 people returning, right? Well, I mean, so Joseph Staten, right? So he worked at Bungie, did a lot of stuff. He's been back at Xbox since 2014 as a producer and writer for multiple games because he didn't want to just work on one franchise. He wanted the opportunity to kind of bounce around and do different things so he doesn't get bored. Like he's written another Halo book since he's been back. He's worked on 3 different games, and he just finished up, being one of the producers for, I think it's Tell Me Why, that just came out. It's an episodic game for Xbox, and so they,
nothing but a heartbreak, Devin.
yeah, of course. But so he has transitioned into part of the campaign team for Halo Infinite, right? So he says, I'm thrilled to join the Halo to help them ship Halo Infinite as a project lead for the Infinite campaign. So they have 2 different teams working on both sides, right? He says, I'll be supporting the team's existing great leaders and empowering them to do their best work. And so he's kind of there just to kind of keep them on track. He has a lot of experience, and he's finished a lot of games. And so he's a good senior leadership to kind of help them focus and push the direction they need to go. But they also
Sounds
brought...
like he's there to crack the whip.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's there to help him out and give him experience. I mean, they also talked about certain Affinity. They announced just this week that, if you don't know Certain Affinity, that's led by Max Overman, who was a multiplayer lead designer for Halo 1 and 2 and did a lot of stuff and has worked with on multiple Halo games making PvP matches or maps, So they have been working, Certain Affinity has been working with 343 since last December on Halo Infinite, which is good news. So they're probably working a lot on the multiplayer. But they brought over Pierre Hintz, I think that's his name. He was the head of the publishing team for the Master Chief Collection, but he is now over the multiplayer experience. So he's done a lot of work to kind of get the Master Chief Collection back in the direction it needs to be and the way it's going now, and it's going really good. And so they brought him over to work on the free-to-play multiplayer experience and kind of give a direction, right? So good things for Halo.
Yeah, I think Joseph Staten, Mike, you would probably remember Joseph Staten from the Destiny beta trailer when they ran through the very
There's a mountain.
first mission. Yep, that was at E3 2011. Devin, is that correct? E3 2011 for
I don't remember which
Destiny?
E3 it was, but
someone pull it up. Which one do you know?
he was the one who
But
said
yeah,
that,
he
right?
got up. Yep, he said, "Hey, look, there's a mountain. You see that mountain? You can go there." He picked up the Thunder Lord from the very first Fallen dude that we fought there. And that's the trailer that like created a whole new genre of people like falling in love with games as a service, games on console. So
Yeah. He also did the voices
pretty
for the
interesting and
grunts for
excited
most
to
of the
have him
early
back.
games. So
Did he really?
Yeah.
Look, you dropping this sick knowledge.
that's what I do.
There you go. Yep, that's what you do. All right. Couple other things as we move on. We're gonna hit a couple of these things really quick. Gamescom open, like the first day of Gamescom happened today. There is a crap ton of stuff that has been announced throughout the day. There's probably too much for us to cover now because we I mean, there's just a lot going on, so it's hard to like go through all of it and talk about everything that happened. So we're just going to kind of talk about the highlights of things that happened today. Mike, you probably weren't even able to watch it because you were off doing your athletic sports thing because that was happening all at the same time that was going on.
Yeah.
So we'll just talk about
Mike's
some
probably like,
highlights,
"What's
and
Gamescom?"
then we'll kind of.
I actually watched
Yeah.
Gamescom. I am watching it right now, actually.
Yeah,
Just
right.
kidding, not-
So
Where do
there's
they
a lot
hold
of things
Gamescom
that
every year?
dropped.
Every year,
Yeah.
in a place, a studio.
No.
Not
Sorry,
this
Steve.
year. This year
Sorry,
it's at
Steve.
everyone's home. So name all the places. All right, so real quick, let's go through a couple of things. BioWare showed something off. They showed off a Dragon Age little Vidoc with a bunch of their team members, and we got to see friend of the show, Melissa Janowitz, was in there talking about boss design.
Mhm.
So that was kind of cool to see Melissa in there. They showed off a lot of screenshots, a lot of environments, a lot of concept art, a lot of their team members talking about how excited they are. So that was a pretty cool video from the BioWare team. A lot of Dragon Age fans are probably super stoked to have something to talk about for the next couple of years, but that game is not coming out till 2023, so
Yeah.
I think
It's
there's
not
gonna be
coming
a
out
long
anytime
wait.
soon.
Yeah, so congratulations to the BioWare team and friends over there at BioWare for getting out their video and getting their fans excited for Dragon Age. Like, a lot of the concept art looked really cool. I've not played a Dragon Age game, but the concept art was exciting. Like, the way, like, I mean, it's always easy to get excited about something when passionate people talk about it because they're super excited about it. However, I did notice, like, with the first scene when they showed Mark Dara in the forest with his
Yeah.
hands in his pockets and his head down, I was like, what is this? Like, what is this, like, documentary? Like, what's going to happen here? What's Mark going to do over there in the woods? That seems
When
really
I
weird.
just chuckled when
But
I
it was
saw
a
him.
cool video. It was fun to watch. It's like, oh, Mark Dara. He'll probably be answering all kinds of questions on Twitter for like the next month and a half or something. Couple of other things. William Dafoe and Daisy Ridley star in the Annapurna time loop thriller 12 Minutes. This was a game that was announced at last year's E3 where a husband was talking with his wife and the husband was narrating what exactly was going to happen. The wife did not believe him, and then those events started to play out because they are stuck in a 12-minute time loop. This game sounds super interesting. Now it's starring William Dafoe as the narrator, Daisy Ridley as the lady, and I believe it is Professor X, whose name is escaping me, McAvoy, it's not Drew McAvoy.
James.
What's his name?
James McAvoy?
James McAvoy. Yep, who starred also in like Glass and that whole trilogy. So he is the dude. He is the father in that video game. So that's actually
Daisy Ridley, huh? That's cool.
I mean, Defoe, Ridley, and McAvoy. That's a pretty big cast in that game. So I'm
Star-studded.
excited to play that. Want to try it out. Hey, we found a game that I'm excited to play that we were talking about this week. See, I'm not just crapping on all the games. I'm excited to play 12 minutes, probably because it'll only take me.
You're
12
not
minutes
excited to play Godfall, Steven?
I'm excited for that. Oh, yes. Let's talk about Godfall. So Keith Lee, he's the director, formerly of Blizzard and a lot of other things. He got on with IGN and he talked about a couple of things that they're doing with their skill progression. They announced 3 new Valor plates. They announced, let's see if I remember these, they announced Mesa, Typhon, and Vertigo. And this Vertigo is actually the Valor plate based on the moth that I predicted and sent out on the internet, and everyone called me crazy that they would put a moth in the game. So there's all my vindication, suckers. They announced Mesa is a ram-looking character, and then Typhon is I think Typhon is a seahorse. It's hard to tell because for some reason they will not put out their footage in 4K. Everything is in 1080p, and it's super hard to see. And it's very.
That's all it can run in
We
right
have 4K
now.
technology.
It's on the PlayStation 5.
Like, put
Sorry.
it out, please. I want to see how the game actually looks. It is so hard to see it in 1080p, especially when it's like compressed and all this crap happens when you put things on the internet. I just want to see the direct footage, right? A couple of things that Keith talked about. He talked about weapons. He talked about this constellation skilling up method that they did not show, but he talked about it. That sounds really interesting. You can put different augments in different spots, and that'll buff your Valor plate in different ways. A couple of things that we still don't know about. They have not shown the UI. I don't know why they're holding off on the UI. It is so important to see the UI in a game like this to see what is happening, like what your skills are, when you're pushing buttons, because as of right now, and this was a problem that they had in the last trailer that they posted, and I think this might be a similar thing where these trailers were cut at the same time on older builds, but the AI is still super passive. They are standing around, they are watching, and again, without that UI knowing like when these cues are happening, it's really hard to tell if the UI is either just dumb or we just don't know enough about what is happening to understand what is happening. And I don't want the UI just to be dumb because that'll make the game super boring. But it does make me nervous that we haven't seen the UI yet, and we really haven't seen like
Co-op.
one of the bigger boss fights. And like,
Because I mean, all three of us are going to play it on
go ahead,
PC,
Devin.
right? All three of us are playing it on PC, right? So
Yes,
Mike's like, are
correct.
we?
I
Yeah.
am.
What?
Of course we are.
I mean, that's
Playing it right
we're
now.
gonna you're playing it right now. I'm playing it right now. Just watching Gamescom over here, playing this game that's not out yet.
No, you don't know my setup.
I know your
These-
setup.
I
Don't
said
pretend
these
like I don't
boxes
know
were-
your setup.
I said these were box sport boxes, but I got all kinds of stuff in those boxes. I got monitors and stream. Anyway,
I don't believe you. But anyways, no, I mean, the game looks really nice. It looks really cool. I just want to. I mean, show me co-op. You know, it's. I mean, honestly, from what they talked about, it doesn't seem like co-op's that big of a deal. Like, there's things where you can buff your friends. Yeah, you're playing with. You can try out different combos of Valor plates, or you can all be the same one. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know if like
Okay.
co-op's like really like the big focus for the game, which is fine, you know. But I just want to know more. Like Steven said, I just want to know more because it's supposedly coming out soon, but maybe it's not till like December. I don't know. So
I mean, it is a launch title for the PlayStation 5. I mean, that is
launch day
their
or
first game
launch.
touted as a launch title.
So November then.
I mean, when you say it like that, Devin, when you say it like that, well,
Launch window?
I mean, this is. I mean, I think it's one of the only. I think it's a day one launch for the PlayStation 5. So if that's going to be happening sometime in November, like all the rumors are pointing to, then
It's like 2
that
months
is
away.
super soon.
Dos months.
Yeah.
I mean,
And like Rue says in the chat, how do we know more about other games coming out in 2022 than this game that's coming out at the end of the year?
Yeah.
And that's something that's super concerning. That like you have to show us some of this stuff to get like. I mean, when you look at what they are doing with Outriders, Outriders is coming out in September. Devin,
it has
right?
it says
That game is
holiday 2020. So they
Okay.
don't even have
So
that
we
release
imagine
date.
that game is. We imagine that game is coming out at the end of this year around the same time or similar, whether it's a month before or a month after. We know so much about Outriders.
Yeah.
Like
They
they've
do
done video
like a
after
30-minute
video,
thing every month to go over stuff. And it's, I
right,
mean, they
going
have
over
tons of
breakdowns and
footage.
builds.
I mean, granted, today they've shown off co-op before, but today or yesterday they showed off like 10 minutes of co-op gameplay, full gameplay. You can watch in 4K. But I mean, there's so much more about the game that they've shown off, and you know, I'm definitely interested in both those games. I mean, we've talked about them, like they're both coming out. Yeah, that one's like a melee looter. I don't remember what the exact term is they're using for it.
It's
For
a
well,
slasher looter.
yeah, slasher looter, and Outriders is like a looter shooter, you know. But and they're both, neither one's games as a service, right? Because they haven't said Godfall's games as a service,
Correct.
correct?
They're not.
So,
No, it's not.
which we both are excited about, but we just know so much more about Outriders than we do about Godfall, which is crazy because they're both coming out around the same time, and um, you know, I don't know.
And I can't imagine that that's like a decision by the marketers to be like, hey, if we don't say anything, this could just be like a sleeper hit. Like we slide in under the radar and boom, it blows up word of mouth. Like I don't think, like I mean that worked for Fall Guys, I guess, but Fall Guys is
Yeah.
that's a completely different beast that I don't think works for like a slasher looter, a brand new IP. Of this style. I mean, maybe I guess it's possible that it blows up like Fall Guys. Like I
Yeah.
can't imagine that will happen. I don't think it will. But I mean, it's just weird that we are so close from what we think is a release date to not knowing much. There are 12 Valor plates, and we have confirmation of, I think, 6 of their names so far. I think it might be 7. I don't have my notes right in front of me, but there's still like Valor plates that we don't even know about, that we haven't even seen.
I mean, which is
So
okay. They want to. You can
it's a
have
little
some
concerning.
surprises for the game, right? So I don't know.
That's true. You can have some surprises, but to like not talk about a whole class
Yeah.
seems interesting to me. I don't
That
know,
yeah.
but anyway. So that's Godfall. We talked about Godfall. They showed off some Star Wars Squadrons stuff. Star Wars Squadrons is, no, I guess I can't say that. I might be under NDA. We can talk about the stuff that they showed off.
That game comes
You
out
know
in
what's
October,
interesting to
right?
me? Yeah,
What's
that comes
interesting
out.
to you,
That comes out
Steve?
in October. I guess I don't like games where you play as the villain. Like, I don't think playing as the Empire has ever been interesting in like any game. Has it? You know why? Because the Empire is evil and they kill people and they don't have remorse. So to have like redeeming qualities from an Empire character, they have to like renounce the Empire because the Empire is evil.
Yeah.
And that's why we had that storyline in Battlefront 2. That's why, you know, there was some. Nope, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Anyway, so I'm uninterested in playing as the Empire, and I don't know if that's just a me thing, or if you guys feel the same way, or like if you're interested in playing
I mean, I'm gonna try it
like
out because
story
it comes
campaigns or Star Wars Squadrons.
with my subscription, right? To Origin Access Premier on PC.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's gonna be. It comes with that subscription, so why not check it out? But none of the stuff makes me like, oh, I'm super excited to play this game. I mean, we talked about it before. Some of the interesting decisions that they have made. I don't like driving or flying in first person, but that's all you can do in the game, and so I still don't understand
And when
why
you
you
think,
bother with customization of your ship when you can't even see it. So I don't know.
yeah, and I do think that it's interesting that like something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Like the game is a MOBA. It's 5-on-5 objective based combat.
Yep.
You've got support, you've got attackers. Like it's a MOBA. Like I don't know if people are like, "Hey, we're gonna go in, we're gonna shoot each other down." I mean, there is a mode where you go in and do that, but like the main competitive thing, like I think is
That'd be the only
like I
mode
don't
that
know
people
if
play.
I don't know. I mean maybe it is, but I don't know. Like that game will be coming out in October, so they also Mike, are you interested in Squadrons at all?
So the thought I was having while we were talking was that this kind of goes back to the Golem conversation, right? You know the outcome of the Empire. Like, what's fun about that? Even the characters inside the Empire. It was Battlefront, right? With oh, what was her name? Aiden Vasa.
Verso.
That's
Nope,
that's
that
Battle.
Verso is from. There you go.
That was Aiden Verso.
Aiden Vasa.
Yeah, you're combining Rogue One and Battlefront, but right, because
They're
they
all
make
Star
that
Wars
switch.
based.
They go through. They don't like the way the Empire is going. They make the switch. Now they're good. Like, so, again, if you, my opinion, obviously, if you want to play a game in the Star Wars universe or have a game in the Star Wars universe, you have so much more to pull from than the Empire and
The Empire.
Jedi and the Star Walkers and the Skywalkers and
The
the
Star
Kenobis, right? Like that universe is actually a universe, right? So tell a different story. I mean, have that stuff going on in the background, maybe if you feel like you need to, but you don't have to. Again, thinking about Rogue One, my wife and I watched it the other day. Um, the he wasn't a Jedi, but he was as close to being a Jedi as you could get without actually being a Jedi, right? And like his story, that would have been a cool story to
Yeah.
follow him, So I understand that these are the characters and these are the people and this is the IP, but I would hope that developers would take some creative license and go, you know what, we're gonna tell this other story that happens to be where they're in a world that where T-16s exist and T-90 X-wings exist, but we're not necessarily going to see all those things, but we can have some other Star Wars type themes, and it just seems like they're holding themselves back by really sticking to, all right, this is Empire versus Republic, or Separatists versus whatever the ones are, So my thoughts maybe.
Yeah. And it's very possible that that could be a Disney Star Wars thing. That's just like,
Yeah.
all right, this is the space you get to play in. Let us know if you need anything. Like that's hard with licenses and figuring that stuff out. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the same thing like we were talking about with Warner Brothers and the Batman stuff. Hey, Batman can't be captured. Batman can't be shown getting killed. So this is what you can do. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff like that happens that's just out of their hands, but. Yeah, a couple of other things that they showed off. They did some more Ratchet and Clank gameplay, which looked really good. Then they showed Blood Bowl 3. Do you guys know what Blood Bowl is? If you don't know what Blood Bowl is a sport that they play in the Warhammer 40K universe. Is it 40K? I think there's a 40K version and then there's just a Warhammer version where there's a tabletop board game where it's kind of like football, but it's like a strategy game and you've got to like score points or whatever. So this is the third one in their series and they're coming out with a new Blood Bowl, which looked pretty interesting. They had a trailer. They didn't show any like any gameplay stuff, but they showed the dwarves, they showed the orcs, they showed the elves, they showed all these different factions fighting over this thing. And I thought it was interesting that we're getting a Blood Bowl 3 game coming out soon.
People
I guess
buy
I
it.
never expected that.
They're pretty popular. So
Yeah, I mean, the Warhammer universe is. I think it's an awesome universe. I like both normal Warhammer and the 40K universe because they're interesting, and
Yeah.
and I guess like that's kind of like we've been talking about. They tell a lot of different stories in those universes because those universes are so vast and there's so much lore in them. There's just a ton to explore in it. So maybe that's like one of the draws. And I think they announced another one also that we didn't get on the show notes. But
yeah, there's the
anyway,
Warhammer 40K one.
they
Or
announced
whatever.
it. Yeah, I think there's a new like Dragon of Sigmar or something. We'll have to add it to
It
the
comes
show
out
notes
next
and
year.
talk about it next
The
time.
thing I thought was weird about it was it's only current gen. There's no next gen versions. It comes out next year.
Next year on current gen stuff.
Yeah, on PS4 and Xbox One, but not
Hmm.
PS5 and Series X. So
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, that has been the high level stuff for Gamescom. It was still going on, and it's still going on tomorrow and the next day and the next day after that. There's just a crap ton of stuff being announced. There's a lot of new titles that are supposed to be shown off that we'll get to see. So next week we'll have a lot to talk about from Gamescom. But other than that, guys, I think that's all the news. We've been talking for quite a bit, so I don't know if we want to do some of this extra stuff or if we just want to save them for next time. I think we'll save my quiz, because I have that dumb game that I made up that we'll just save for next time. Devin, maybe we'll save the art for next time also.
That's
we'll
fine.
talk about
We can do that next time.
Freelancer Codex Spotify playlist. I mean, we can do it now. It's not going to take us too long to talk about a couple songs we want to add to our playlist, right?
Yeah.
So, Mike, since this was your idea, will you lay it out on us?
All right. So, those of you who who tuned in last week, the end of our discussion turned very, I don't know what the right word is here, but very real. Not that what we talk about isn't real, but just had a little bit more depth and more meaning
we
and
should
more.
Be clear.
Well, but
yeah, we should be clear that video games are not important in the grand scheme of things, right?
Okay.
They help a lot of people.
They do. They help me the other night.
They do, but when there's
I do
important things that are
because I want to give this the gravity that it deserves. Anyway, not to get too deep or heavy. When I have thinking about last week's end of show topic and some of the things that have kind of helped me through dark times or troubled times or whatever, one of the things that has always helped me has been music. Music has always affected me in a way that goes to alter my mood, change my thoughts, get me through troubled times, and I blame that on my mom, who always had music playing in our home growing up, who taught us through song, and who was always able to connect to us that way. So I thought, as just something to do, that we at the Freelancer Codex, we're going to start a Spotify playlist, and each week we are going to add one song each to it. Um, a song that maybe has influenced us that week, one that kind of really changes us, or has had an effect on us. It could be an old song, it could be a new song, it could be from a video game soundtrack, it could be from Broadway. I mean, there's no restrictions on what genres we can pull from. Um, and so we're each going to add this, and once we get to 15, we'll publish that playlist. And maybe it'll help, maybe it'll be something that I'm a little bit shady on how Spotify works, but I'm pretty sure that we can put that playlist out and people can listen to it, and maybe it'll help, or whatever. I don't know, just something I thought. So yeah, Steve.
Yeah.
That was my intro. Do you want to know?
Yeah, so
do you want to know my song, or do you guys have yours up queued, ready to go?
I mean, we put them on the
We
document.
can't play them.
Yeah, we can't
I
play
know,
them.
I understand,
right
Yeah,
here.
but
if we
you
play 'em,
can
we'll
talk
get-
about them, right? But you can talk about them. We're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not gonna play them, but we can
So-
talk about them.
Yeah, so what we'll do, Mike, I'll just change your idea a little bit. Instead of
Oh,
publishing it in
whatever.
5 weeks, we'll just kind of send out the link now, so that people can listen as we add to it.
And they can tell us
That
how
way it's not
horrible
like
our
a
song
huge
choices
buildup
are.
and then yeah, so I will get the link, and I'll put those in the show notes. But yeah, I'll go first. So the first song that I'm going to add to this playlist is a title by the Old Gods of Asgard. The title track is "Take Control." It is from the soundtrack of Control, and I added this on here because I think it's a super sweet track. It is one of the pivotal points in that game that you play that this track starts to play. That had a huge impact on me when I played it, because it was just kind of mind blowing. The set piece that they created
Is that
in
the one
game,
where the
and this
rooms
track
move?
playing over it was pretty fantastic. That's the one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, and also because last DLC is coming out today for Control, I figured, hey, I'm gonna throw in this Control thing because that's had a pretty big impact on me in these last couple of years as one of my favorite games of the last several years. So that is "Take Control" by Old Gods of Asgard. That's what I'm going to add on there. Devin, what are you going to add?
So what I'm putting on here, it is called Memories, and there's a couple different songs, but the one I chose was from the One Voice Children's Choir, right? And so the reason I chose this is because my kids like to listen to this choir, and this, something I didn't really think about with the pandemic and everything else, was kind of when it first started was really my kids. Like, oh, they'll be fine. They're just gonna hang out at the house. It's whatever, you know. But everything that they've been going through, it has really affected my daughter, and she had been having tough times. And some of the other things, like before the pandemic, her gifted and talented teacher died. She had a heart attack, right?
Oh wow.
So then she got a new teacher, and then the pandemic happened, and so then she couldn't hang out with any of her friends, couldn't go to school, which she loves going to school, and so it was really hard. And she wrote us this letter, about how this has been the worst year of her life. And I was kind of thinking about that, yeah, this is I mean, it's a horrible year for us, but for the kids, they've only been around for so long. This definitely has to be a horrible year, and I never really thought about that. And this song just kind of goes over, the challenges that they face, and some of the things, whether they're scared or there's fear and everything else, and that they can get through it. But this also kind of led me to also thinking oh, I only have so much time left with my kids before they're going to move out and they're going to, go to college or whatever else, or do whatever they're going to do as they get into adulthood, and then they'll have their own families. But then I'm like, okay, so I only have so much time left with my kids. So I was kind of freaking out about that. But then I was kind of thinking about, well, hopefully they'll, still hang out when they get older and stuff. And that kind of led me to my relationship with my parents, of how much time am I really spending with my parents, and is that kind of going to reflect on what my kids do with me, when they're older. And so it kind of helped me reflect on both current and future relationships with my extended family and my close family, and just kind of help me kind of bring things back into focus of what's important, And so I have kind of been playing, less video games and doing less other things, and just spending more time with my kids. I've been playing video games with them, playing the stuff they want, and then also spending more time with my parents, even though sometimes, we don't always want to hang out because all they do is give you advice on things you don't want to talk about or hear about, but they love you. And just like I love my kids, and I want to have that relationship with them, I kind of like, I kind of felt bad for the state of my relationship with my own parents. And I was like, I should definitely work on that, So that's my song. So when you hear it, you can take from it what you will. So.
Word, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have picked a song. I guess goes along the lines with Devin. The pandemic, the thing, and being able to take the time that you need on yourself to fix yourself if you need help. So the song is "Let's Hurt Tonight" by One Republic. One Republic is my current favorite band right now. My favorite artist. My favorite music producer. And that was, I mean, it just talks about going through and going and fixing yourself if you need to fix yourself, and going through those struggles, and knowing that those struggles it's not bad to go through those struggles. You need them to grow. So Let's Hurt Tonight by One Republic, and we'll build this list and take your comments, and maybe we can, as a community, just bond together that way over music. So that was my little idea.
There we go.
That
I
Steve
like your
changed,
idea, Mike,
but
and
whatever.
we'll do that. And I'll. I just wanted people to have access to it earlier.
No, I understand. I
than
understand.
we did. That's all.
I understand.
So, all right, everyone, thank you in chat for hanging out with us. We appreciate everyone over in Freelancer Codex land for giving us the time of the day to download the show, to listen to the show. Please, if you are willing, go review us on any of your podcatchers. Consider supporting if you feel like you get any type of value out of the show over at patreon.com/freelancercodex. We appreciate all of you. We hope that you all stay safe and that you try to make the world a better place for those around you and people that will be coming after you. So until next time, this has been the Freelancer Codex, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex on Twitter or Twitch. Send emails to freelancercodex@gmail.com or voice messages to anchor.fm/freelancercodex/message. We wish to thank all of our Patreons. We are grateful for you all.